In today's crazy movie recaps, we'll be recapping a 2021 psychological thriller film titled Fear of Rain. The protagonist, Rain, faces challenges in distinguishing between what is real and what is imagined. However, her situation takes a darker turn when her neighbor abducts a little girl, making her realize that her life can become even more precarious. The film opens with Rain running frantically through a thick forest, pursued by an unknown man. Eventually, he catches up to her, ties her up, and attempts to bury her alive. Despite her dire circumstances, Rain manages to claw her way out of the grave, only to find the man waiting for her. Abruptly, the scene transitions to Rain being restrained by several doctors. It is revealed that she has early-onset schizophrenia, and Rain drifts in and out of consciousness. She observes her parents, John and Michelle, speaking with her doctor about her condition. Although the doctor suggests immediate admission to a psychiatric facility, Rain's parents adamantly refuse. The movie tells us that Rain enjoys painting during her free time, but she is denied art supplies by her nurse when she requests them. This is because Rain has a history of self-harm episodes, and it would not be wise to give her access to pencils or other art materials. During a therapy session, Rain brings up an incident where a stranger chased her and is convinced it actually occurred. However, her therapist Ellen explains that it was a psychotic episode triggered by Rain stopping her medication. Ellen warns Rain that another major episode could lead to her being admitted to a psychiatric facility where she would be forced to take her medication. Ellen suggests that Rain start taking her medication again sooner rather than later to avoid any potential regrets in the future. After being discharged from the hospital, Rain observes her parents' growing concern for her during the car journey back home. Upon arriving home, the family is greeted by their neighbor Danny, who happens to be a teacher at Rain's school and expresses her eagerness to see Rain return to campus. Upon opening the door to her room, Rain is confronted with scratches on the wall and mattress, serving as a reminder of the chaos she had caused during her previous episode. Seeing her distressed, John provides her with comfort and reassures her that he will renovate her room shortly. Despite moving into the guest room, Rain continues to be plagued by her delusions. Nonetheless, this time, she chooses to overlook them and focus on trying to resume a more regular routine. The next morning, Rain goes back to school, but unfortunately, news about her condition has already spread, and she has no choice but to face the impending difficulties. While having lunch, Rain encounters her former friend Alexa and her followers, who engage in the typical Mean Girls act. They discuss Rain's situation, which greatly affects her. Feeling hurt by their insensitive remarks, Rain opts to eat alone. But her peaceful moment is disrupted by Caleb, a boy who introduces himself and shares some tarot card tricks with her. As Rain gets to know Caleb, she starts questioning if he is genuinely real. Rain visits a pharmacy to collect her medicine and unexpectedly encounters her English teacher, Danny, who is carrying wine and colored pencils. However, Danny completely ignores Rain when she greets her. Later, while returning home, Rain witnesses a child being abducted. But when she attempts to pursue the kidnapper, the kidnapping seems to have vanished, leading Rain to believe it was just another hallucination. As a result, she decides to take her medicine upon returning home. While at home, Rain discovers her father refusing a cooking job as he wants to take care of her. She persuades her father John to accept the job, assuring him that she can manage herself. As night descends, Rain remains troubled by the child's screams coming from her neighbor's window. She dismisses the cries for help as a figment of her imagination and proceeds to talk about her day at school with her mother. The following day, Rain encounters more bullying at school, but Caleb suggests they escape their predicament. He takes Rain on a car cruise in his newly renovated car, and during the ride, Rain discovers that Caleb is skilled in car mechanics and also has a deep interest in quantum physics. However, their trip is cut short due to rainfall and Caleb's malfunctioning windshield wipers. Rain's discomfort becomes apparent as she starts experiencing hallucinations once more. Caleb then inquires if Rain has a phobia of rain, unaware of her medical condition. Rain assures him that everything is fine and expresses her desire to return home. Michelle becomes curious when it starts raining and magically senses that Rain has been spending time with a boy. As night falls, they have a conversation about Caleb. Rain experiences the same illusion about the screaming girl in her neighbor's attic and becomes convinced that something is going on. Her screams alert her parents, who rush to her aid. Rain informs them about the girl in Danny's house, and John promises to investigate and ease her concerns by visiting Danny's home the next day. In the morning, both the father and daughter arrive at Danny's house, where John cryptically asks about a child that Rain claims to have seen. Despite Danny's denial of having children or anyone in her home, Rain remains convinced that she is lying and confronts her. Remaining composed, Danny agrees to show them the attic, which is filled with eerie dolls reminiscent of the horror movie Annabelle. Danny explains that the collection belonged to her late grandmother, and she hasn't been in the attic since her passing. Just as they are about to leave, Rain spots a book from 2018 on one of the stands, which confirms Danny is lying. Upon returning home, Rain and her father engage in a major argument, with her father feeling ashamed of the situation. He accuses Rain of having delusions once again, causing Rain to break down in tears. Eventually, they both calm down, but her father cautions Rain to avoid going into Danny's home, as it could lead to serious consequences, such as Rain being institutionalized in a psychiatric facility. On the following day, Rain attends her scheduled appointment and spends her time looking for reports on missing children while waiting. During her session with her therapist, she shares her experience of being kidnapped, but Ellen cautions her about making serious accusations against her neighbor. Ellen also reminds Rain of the potential consequences of her claims, similar to what her father had warned her about, and suggests that her beliefs may reflect her own feelings of being trapped. At one point, Rain experiences a brief delusion in which she feels trapped in a portrait, and afterwards, she admits to her therapist that Ellen's concerns may have some validity. Upon returning home, Rain prepares dinner for her mother as a surprise, but her father prevents Michelle from entering the kitchen. Despite having Caleb as her companion at school, the constant gossiping continued and was exacerbated by Rain's condition. The situation took a turn for the worse when Rain had a terrifying encounter with Danny in the food court and fled, fearing that Danny had called the police on her. When Caleb caught up to her, he was confused as to why she was hiding from the police. Rain confided in Caleb about the kidnapping situation, but she refused his suggestion to seek help from the police, insisting that they were involved in the kidnapping. Rain decided to skip her therapy session and accompanied Caleb to break into Danny's house. Upon arriving, they discovered a newly installed lock on the attic door, which they attempted to unlock with a screwdriver. While searching for a screwdriver, Caleb stumbled upon a box of children's cereal while rummaging through the cabinets. Just as they found the screwdriver, Danny unexpectedly returned home. Rain and Caleb both run away, and once they are far away, Caleb confronts Rain for not disclosing that their school teacher Danny is her neighbor. Later, Rain experiences another frightening hallucination in the shower. Michelle invites Caleb to their house, but Rain takes offense and tells her mother that she wants to verify if Caleb is real or just a figment of her imagination. Although her mother acknowledges her intention, Rain argues that having an imaginary friend is preferable to having none. Her mother reassures her that she will always be there for her, while John listens to their exchange. The following day, Rain requests Caleb to break into Danny's house once more, but he declines and proposes they engage in a regular activity instead. Consequently, they enjoy a delightful date where they indulge in ice cream and explore the zoo and aquarium. During their outing, they browse through the missing children database and stumble upon Malia Robinson, the same little girl Rain spotted in Danny's window. While at school, Rain encounters Alexa, a friend from her past who is upset about her parents' divorce. Rain decides to offer her comfort, but Alexa responds by yelling at Rain and calling her a schizo. As Rain walks away, Caleb overhears their argument. Later, Caleb finds Rain feeling down and wonders why she didn't confide in him about her condition. Rain apologizes and tells Caleb that he can end their friendship if he wants to. However, Caleb finds this suggestion absurd and decides to stick with their friendship. After coming home, Rain discovers a completely different room that her father has arranged as a surprise for her. As the night approaches, Rain sees her mother in tears while going through old childhood pictures. Rain comprehends the impact her situation has had on her mother and vows to improve. At first, Rain starts to ignore Caleb, believing him to be a figment of her imagination. However, Caleb persists and shows up at her house one night to ask why she's been ignoring him. Rain admits to him that she's been avoiding him because she suspects he's not real. But their conversation is interrupted by a sudden scream coming from Danny's house. They decide to investigate and accidentally break into the basement, where they discover a large dollhouse. Unfortunately, their intrusion alerts Danny, who witnesses Rain fleeing the scene and threatens to press charges against Rain's father unless she is institutionalized. When Rain reveals to John that Caleb was responsible for breaking Danny's window, he becomes angry and insists that Caleb is not real. He pressures Rain to take her medication, leading to a heated argument. In a desperate attempt to escape the situation, Rain threatens to overdose on pills, but John intervenes and slaps the pills out of her hand. He immediately regrets his actions, but the damage has been done, and their relationship deteriorates further as Rain leaves. When Rain noticed Danny playing with Malia again during the rain, she sent a text to Caleb to join her. Although she intended to visit Danny's house again, Caleb declined and instead opted to impress her with card tricks. As they begin to engage in a romantic encounter, Michelle descends the stairs, prompting Rain to introduce Caleb to Michelle. Caleb is taken aback by the interaction and excuses himself, leaving Rain bewildered and perplexed. The following day at school, Caleb is absent, and things get worse for Danny as Rain refuses to talk to her. Rain rushes home and once again spots Malia in the window. In an attempt to rescue the girl, she texts Caleb, but her mental state is deteriorating rapidly. She eventually breaks down, and her mother tries to comfort her, but Rain remains unresponsive. Suddenly, Danny's father intervenes and reveals the shocking truth. Michelle has been dead for 3 years, and John has been encouraging Rain's delusion of a happy family. This sheds light on why Caleb left, as he likely felt like Rain was conversing with an imaginary person. Rain accuses her father of lying and experiences a psychotic episode, prompting John to contact emergency services. However, before they arrive, Rain leaves her home and seeks refuge in Danny's house as a final attempt to save a little girl named Malia. Despite struggling with her delusions, Rain searches for Malia in the attic, but eventually decides to check the basement. After taking Danny's keys without permission, Rain discovers Malia in the basement but is interrupted by Danny, who becomes aware of her presence. Upon finding Rain with Malia, Danny persuades her that the child is not real. Just when it seemed like there was no hope left, Caleb appears to come to the rescue. During a scuffle, Caleb and Danny distract their opponents, allowing Rain and Malia to flee. Upon reaching outside, Rain reunites with her father, who finally acknowledges Malia's existence. As the police arrive, Rain insists on going back into Danny's house to save her friend. However, her father denies Caleb's existence. But to everyone's amazement, Caleb emerges from the house, visibly bruised but unquestionably real. Over time, Rain makes an unexpected recovery and goes with John to visit her mother's grave to find closure. The film concludes with Rain waking up next to Michelle, who reassures her that she will always be there for her daughter. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to explore our other videos, which have stories about other cool movies.